What's up guys, Paramotor here. Today I want to talk about why after 2 years of owning a Harley Davidson, I'll never own another one, and why this 2024 Yamaha MT-07 blows any Harley Davidson completely out of the water. What's up guys? How are you guys doing today? If you're new to the channel, my name is Paramoto and I'll be your flight attendant this evening. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out a ton. Hopefully this camera isn't too wonky. It's flexing a little bit. Might need to figure out a new situation here. It is Memorial Day weekend and everybody's partying. I just hear bass from every direction. So guys, like I said in the intro, I'm here to talk to you guys today about why I have owned a Harley Davidson and why I'll never own another one unless the deal is sick. I will own a Harley Davidson again if the deal is absolutely sick, but it would have to be the sickest of sick deals. So during this video, I'm also going to be comparing the Harley Davidson to this bike because they do get a little bit of comparison on this channel and on others. So I owned a 2020 Harley Davidson Roadster for about 2 years. In that time I put a few miles on it. I took a nice long road trip on the thing. Did not get my main trip. There was going to be a northeast loop that I planned to do, resulting in me ending up in Maine, and I did not get there. What is going on here? Oh, it's like a nerd thing. There's a nerd thing going on. I did not know there was nerdery going down here tonight. I feel like nerd is not a negative thing anymore. I think nerd just means you're passionate about something. So like I'm a motorcycle nerd, skydive nerd. Anyway, so I owned a 2020 Harley Davidson Roadster, which is a Sportster. It's not the full-on Harley Davidson experience. I do understand that. I put a lot of miles on that thing. I'll be honest with you, it's an okay bike. I think one time I posted a video and it was like, Harley, I don't like you, but the horse you rode in on is okay. Just okay. There's a saying amongst Harley Davidson people that yesterday's technology at tomorrow's prices, which is 100% what that bike was. I ended up buying that thing for like $12,000 or something out the door, and it had a motor that had been pretty much the same since like the 80s, and the bike's chassis was like just as old and everything. It was crazy old. All the technology was super old, and they still didn't have it nailed down. There was people all over the place complaining about how it was leaking oil and all sorts of other crap. And it was like, dude, like, you guys have had 40 years to figure this out. 40 freaking years. And you guys still can't make an unleaky bike. The thing that Harley Davidson has that nobody else has, though, is the classic vibe. Like, if you want a bike that meets classic vibes, dude, Harley Davidson is your jam. I was kicking the tires, like, do I get an XSR? Do I get this? Do I get that? But I really wanted something classic, and Harley Davidson defined what classic is for America. On the flip side, we got bike manufacturers like Triumph making what's classic for them. But for us over here in the States, Harley Davidson really defines what's classic. So if you want something that has classic vibes, I mean, you kind of got to go Harley. Comparing that bike to this bike is like apples and oranges. This bike is upright and comfortable and affordable, $7,000, so it literally costs $5,000 less than my Harley, and the stats are the exact same, which is something that you always get with these Japanese bike manufacturers. I know what's so different about Japan and America, but when you buy a Japanese bike, you really get quality and reliability. And for some reason, Americans, even though we probably did our fair share of like motorcycle inventing, we can't make a motorcycle that's worth a damn. You know, really all we have right now is Harley Davidson. Like, we got Harley, maybe you can consider Indian American, but I'm pretty sure they're manufactured somewhere else. And then you got Buell, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is just kind of like, Everything else would probably be custom at that point, and custom bikes, although made in America, I don't think it qualifies underneath these rules. So not only do you get a bike that is like just less value for your money, it also needs more services than a typical motorcycle. Like, I think like when I went to the dealership, the guy that was selling me the bike obviously wasn't a motorcycle fan. Okay, that person just yelling at a random human being that doesn't exist. Mental health is a thing. I think this is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental Health Awareness Month. We just saw a crackhead yelling at nobody. Obviously, like, when I bought my motorcycle, I could tell that the person that sold me the motorcycle was not a motorcycle fan. They only knew things about Harley Davidson. Because when they sold me my Harley Davidson, I actually owned a Ducati, and he was like, oh yeah, this Harley gonna be a little bit better on the wallet than the Ducati as far as servicing. But then come to find out, the Harley gets serviced twice as much and costs the same amount. So you're spending way more money. 100% comparing apples to oranges again when you come down to Harley Davidson versus Ducati. Because Ducati actually innovates and makes new things. Like sometimes they get a flagship and they make the Desmodronic engine for a long time. They do that. But like Harley, you've had like 40 years to figure out the Evo engine. How is this not the most reliable thing on the face of the freaking planet? Now, if you went 40 more years from the 1980s, you would be in the 1940s. You'd be fighting the Nazis. That's how long you've had to sort this thing out, and you still haven't done it. What are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with yourself? You know, having an Evo motor that you've been making for 40 years still be garbage. That doesn't make sense. Another point, there was no electronics. And really, to be honest with you, I didn't want a whole lot of electronics. It wasn't a thing that I was interested in. I really wanted a bare bones, stripped down motorcycle. But I had to spend $12,000, a little bit more than the model down, I think was a 48, just to get ABS and dual rotor front brakes. Like, I'm sorry, but dual rotor front brakes should be absolutely standard on literally everything, especially when you're considering over a 500-pound motorcycle, dude. This has got dual rotor front brakes and it weighs 100 pounds less. Come the F on Harley. I think every freaking stoplight in Raleigh now says no turn on red, and they've nerfed all the speed limits for some reason. The experience of owning a Harley and going through the buying process of a Harley Davidson was very negative. A lot of the time it was negative. They thought very highly of their motorcycles, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with being prideful of things that you sell. You should like the things that you sell. But they had a very high opinion of themselves, and the bikes did not match up to that high opinion. Like, seriously, 100%. When I rode in the first time, the guy probably just looked at me and said, that guy's a sucker. He's going to spend way too much money on this motorcycle. Because when I first talked to him, he's like, yeah, bro, I'll get you out the door. I know the website says 10.5. I'll get you out the door for no less than $15,000. A what? $15,000 for this old-ass bike? No. Negative, bro. Although you may think I look like a sucker, I am not a sucker. And at the time, I think I was like on my 7th brand new motorcycle. I know how this process goes. And you're just upselling this, probably because it goes straight to your commission. You just wanted me to give you money. That's really why. And like we went back and forth for months. And that bike stayed right where I left it on test ride day, right on the showroom floor. Nobody else was interested in it. And you're trying to upsell it by $5,000. No. Negative, not gonna happen, bro. Fast forward 2 months, I bugged him probably weekly and just degraded the bike until I almost talked myself out of the damn thing. And I ended up getting it for, I think, $12,000 out the door. The dealership experience was bad. Harley, you need to fix it. There, I would say the biggest thing that I really did not like about owning a Harley was the culture. It's like, we are motorcyclists. This is inherently unsafe. I may die today out here on this bike, especially with the roads that I take. I don't need to make myself any less safe by doing stupid things like not wearing any gear. You know, like Harley Davidson riders think it's like uncool to wear gear, and it's like, bro, you say that you live to ride and you like the freedom of your Harley Davidson, but it's like, dude, if you wore gear, you could ride more. That's the biggest thing. Like, I wear gear so that I can ride, like, not only safely, but more. Like, I ride literally as soon as it gets over 40 degrees, I'm on this motorcycle full time. A normal Harley rider cannot say the same thing. Very few Harley riders ride like I do. 100%, bro. And, you know, the more gear you wear, the safer you'll be, and also the longer you can ride. And it's like, the people that I used to see, like, coming up from, like, you know, in Ohio, these jokers wouldn't even wear helmets. I mean, the no gear thing, it's just so perplexing to me. It's like, have you never ridden hard enough where you might go down that you just like didn't even think that wearing gear would be a good idea? Like, come on, dude, come on. Wear a freaking helmet. Wear a riding jacket or some gloves, because you know what the first thing you do when you get in a wreck? I know this from experience. You put your hands out. That's the very first thing you do. And you know what? I don't like having skin on my hands. It's one of my favorite aspects of my hands and attributes of my hands is that there's skin on it and it doesn't hurt just living. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. And if I didn't have gloves on the 2 times I've wrecked, I would be hurting hardcore. I'd probably still be hurting and probably have a lot of scars. More scars than I do for my actual wrecks. I don't have too many scars from wrecking, although I can't feel part of my leg anymore, which is super fun. I was being a gene squid at the time, and look at me now. I'm still gene squidding. I don't know if you can see that, but I am jeans, hardcore, and Vans. I haven't learned. I don't learn. I just don't learn. I'm dumb. But at least I got most of the gear on. Another, I would say, cardinal sin. I don't know why I just got Italian. Another cardinal sin, I would say, is literally the drinking and riding. The drinking and riding, I'm 100% against. The whole thing that we do is just dangerous, and it's all balance-based. If you don't have balance because you're drunk, dude, you can't ride a motorcycle, and you're gonna wreck. And I've seen Harley riders in my EMS days, you know, end up wrecking really hard and dying because they're drunk and riding and they're not wearing any damn gear. They're wearing a crappy, like, half-face helmet. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? Harley pushes that culture. Like, if you go to a Harley Davidson dealership, you know, there will be beer in that fridge that you can go to grab and you can drink in between your ride. And it's just like, dude, if I can equate what I like right now the most is motorcycles and skydiving. In skydiving, these people are doing something that's inherently unsafe. If you go and you skydive and you do nothing after you leave the plane, you will die. Let's not get into the details, but in skydiving, if you leave the plane and do nothing, you will die. Those guys go hard as fuck. But you know what they don't do? They don't drink while they're skydiving. They don't have a beer in the plane. They don't have a beer on the ground. There's something that comes on called a beer light. That means operations are done for the day, and that's when they drink. And that is a lesson that should be learned by Harley Davidson owners, is that you should do your dangerous crap and then start drinking. It's just dumb. It's dumb to me. I don't like it. I don't like the drinking and riding. To be totally honest with you, a lot of it was the culture that totally turned me off. Like, I just can't do it anymore. I can't do the Harley culture anymore. I can't do the drinking and riding, the no gear. I can't do the lackluster motorcycles that everybody thinks are the best. Like, oh yeah, my Harley Davidson is like the fastest thing ever. Well, you only think that because you've never ridden anything else. Harley rider that I was around one day, she was super nice, she was just ignorant. And she's like, yeah, this guy's motorcycle was so fast, it went 30 miles an hour in first gear. And I'm just like, dude, my Honda CBR at the time indicates 72 in first gear. And that's a CBR 600. That's not 1,000. Dude, and like, you ain't shit. I'm sorry, but Harleys ain't shit when it comes to speed. You know, that's not really exactly what a lot of them are built for, so, you know, no hate. But you don't know anything else. You don't know anything else. Please stop saying your Harley Davidson is the best thing ever. That's enough for the bitch session. I will say that I love this bike. I'm glad I don't own a Harley Davidson anymore. This bike is kind of an extension of that Harley Davidson. I've traded in a few things. This is down the line. My Harley would have been kind of a brother to this bike. It's not. The Harley's gone. This is in the garage. I love it. I love every second of riding this bike, and I'm glad. I'm glad the Harley's gone, but I'm not ungrateful for the experience, to be totally honest with you. If you have the choice and it's Harley or MT-07, I would go MT-07. But if you only have a Harley to get, or you get a Harley for a fantastic deal, be about it, bro. Just be about it. It's not a terrible motorcycle. It's not a terrible motorcycle company, but there's better. There's a lot better out there. Thank you guys so much for everything. Thank you guys for watching, especially if you made it to this point in the video. Thank you so much. I am gonna go get some food, and I'm gonna go home for the day and snuggle my dogs. That's what Paramoto does most days. I jump out of planes, I hang out with people that I like, and I snuggle dogs. Be like Paramoto. Anyway, dudes, deuces. Meow.